On the news at 7, Ondo State concludes arrangements to host groundbreaking National Education Summit. Divergent views trail federal government new policy on NYC mobilization. Police ignore court order, arrest no fewer than 200 vehicles over tinted glass usage. And from the foreign scene, Thai hitman bags life sentence for murder of Cambodian politician. Stand by. Good evening and welcome to the news. Kunle Aruyo is my name. The Ondo State government is scheduled to host the 69th National Council on Education meeting in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education from November 2nd to November 7, 2025. Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Ibekele Ajibefun, conveyed the readiness of Ondo State while playing host to a team from the Federal Ministry of Education in Akure. The commissioner thanked the ministry for considering Ondo State while emphasizing that the council meeting will present opportunity for stakeholders to take stock of national progress, identify systemic challenges, and forge a cohesive national strategy. Professor Ajibefun assured officials that the state is prepared to handle the logistic demands and meet the expectations associated with hosting a national educational summit. Representative of the Federal Ministry of Education, Abosede Olayiwola, explained that the visit was to check the level of preparedness of Ondo State while also highlighting the importance of thorough planning for the event. Population growth has sparked housing deficit across Nigeria, leaving low-income earners the option of rent even as inflation has driven prices high. In Akure, rent has now become an issue as agents allegedly overcharge for apartments irrespective of the property grade. In this report, Joy Pius spotlights the state of housing in Ondo State, the pains of rent inflation, and its effects on the cost of living. Her report. We'll bring that reports in the course of this bulletin. The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, has hosted a special Thanksgiving service to commemorate the 65th independence anniversary of Nigeria. The church said the service, themed The King of Kings, will take place at the church's national headquarters in Ebutemeta, Lagos on Sunday. He noted that the program was inspired by a divine direction and will feature special prayers for public office holders in the country. The church urged the general public to join the program, describing it as a solemn national intercession for peace, unity, and divine progress for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Unknown state actors in the agricultural sector have disclosed that 1 in 5 Africans go hungry each day, while 2 out of every 11 Nigerians lack adequate food. National focal person of the Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Program, Onijimbua Emmanuel, made the revelation in Abuja at a workshop for non-state actors on the Maputo to Kampala Declaration. He urged non-state actors to support the implementation of the declaration, stressing that government, farmers, and civil society organizations all have critical roles to play. The Kampala Declaration adopted by African Union Heads of State in January 2025, sets out a 10-year plan aimed at transforming Africans' agro-food systems, prioritizing increased agricultural output, food and nutrition security, sustainability and resilience across the continent. Emmanuel noted that unsafe food remains a major challenge, with over 130,000 people across Africa falling ill from contaminated food annually, including more than 50,000 in Nigeria, leading to reduced productivity and financial strain on families. The new policy by the federal government on student mobilization or exception from the National Youth Service Corps, set to take effect on October 6, 2026, has been described too sudden for effective implementation. Elites in Akure, the Ondo State capital, while reacting to the policy announced on September 27, said the decision should have been collectively made by stakeholders who are directly involved in the sector to achieve the desired results. Omoni Olambeji reports.
As a past any information across, I can't say. I do not know. But I've not seen any. I've not seen any information concerning that.
No, I'm not. Just hearing it for the first time.
It's a new thing, but they've not announced it to us formally. Okay. So, but we just had it from Twitter and all.
These respondents are among graduating students of Nigeria's higher institutions who have completed their final examinations, submitted their projects, and are preparing for the next NYSC mobilization. To them, no official information has been released regarding the new policy requirements. The federal government on September 29 approved a policy making the submission of students' theses and final year projects into the Nigeria Education Repository and Data Bank (NED) a compulsory requirement for mobilization into the National Youth Service Corps. According to NED officials, the initiative is aimed at raising the standard of academic content, output, and presentation nationwide. A social commentator, Lekon Olajobi, described the policy a welcome development but stressed the need for synergy between institutions for smooth implementation.
We have found out of late that most students come through to NYSC from the corruptible tendencies that happen in such higher institutions, and they make a way. And the bottom line is now we are producing quite a lot of half-baked graduates in a situation like this. Do this to check. So the federal government must harmonize this particular policy. I'm sure it came from them in a way that at least for you to be able to pass through your university or the higher institution system to serve your nation at the NYSC and to serve freely, you must have fulfilled all the requirements indeed. And at the end of the day, we'll have a better society, not have big graduates out there, and the educational system now becomes substandard.
A public relations practitioner, Adegbenro Adebanjo, however, expressed concern over the sudden implementation of the policy, suggesting a more gradual approach.
The suddenness itself is a challenge. You just went to the airwaves and to the newspapers and other media channels and you are telling people who were not aware. You know, it was just like the way they started this 18-year age specification for entering into Nigerian universities. You don't change the rule of the game in the middle of the game. So what they should have done first is stakeholders engagement. You engage with people and then you tell us. It's not enough for you to enunciate a policy. You must tell us how it benefits those that are impacted by the policy and then the general public.
Also speaking, Dr. Benga Abimbola, who has supervised undergraduate projects for about 2 decades, noted that most projects have limited impact on solving societal problems compared to postgraduate dissertations and theses.
My worry is that even the ones we have been sending to the government is not utilizing anything. So maybe this one will make government to start to think towards the educational institution on how to harness, on how to use all those recommendations from the universities concerning security, economy, societal issues. I support it that projects should be uploaded to the database of the country. It's not only for NYSC purposes, provided they will be able to send it to the relevant agencies to utilize. But undergraduate projects at undergraduate level, most of these projects, they are still of low quality. Why? Because the population is too much. You are turning out millions every year. So how many ideas are you going to get from them? But for postgraduate studies, they go through more quality assurance processes. So I think those ones should be better.
They expressed doubt about the effectiveness of the policy, citing its sudden introduction.
But my fear is the suddenness of this directive and the fiat saying that it should start on October 6th. I think that the first thing they should have done was to carry along all the stakeholders, the producers of the graduates, and then they take them through the processes. Somebody has signed it, somebody has issued the directive, and I believe that one of the reasons why most government decisions and policies are not well received is always this idea of them talking to people without talking with people.
The federal government directive does not affect saving corps members and those who enrolled before the enforcement date. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
We'll now go back to our story on rent. Population growth has sparked housing deficit across Nigeria, leaving low-income earners the option of rent even as inflation has driven prices high. And this report, the Pius, spotlights the state of housing in Ondo State, the pains of rent inflation and its effect on the cost of living. Our report.
Nigeria, with a population in excess of 200 million and a 2.5% annual growth rate, faces severe housing crisis. According to the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, the country grapples with both inadequate housing supply and substandard living conditions. A PwC survey reveals that 75% of Nigeria's 42 million housing units, approximately 31.6 million, are substandard, failing to meet UN and WHO standards for habitability, safety, sanitation, and accessibility. To address the housing deficit, the minister estimates that Nigeria must build 550,000 housing units annually for the next decade. In Akure, the state capital, a booming population and soaring inflation in building material costs have deepened the housing crisis, significantly impacting residents.
If you go to government-owned estates and they are telling you that rent is 2 million naira, how many civil servants can afford that? I'm talking about salary earners now. Maybe there are people that make some other money where maybe those people are comfortable with it, but we are not. Let government come in and put up realistic measures in place, all right, to address the issue of housing.
For millions of Nigerians unable to afford their own homes, rent is the only option. However, securing an apartment in Nigeria's major cities, including Akure, has become a financial ordeal. Rent increases, driven by inflation, stagnant wages, and a housing shortfall, are compounded by unregulated and quack real estate agents imposing exorbitant fees on top of rent. Securing affordable housing in Ondo State, a civil service setting, remains a challenge due to inflation and exploitative practices by middlemen in the housing markets. These trends burden tenants, exacerbate economic inequality, and fuel housing insecurity.
Presently, I think renting a house in Akure, can cut throats now. The agents, I don't want to call them caretakers, the agents, they are making things very difficult, because I know of some landlords who will cut their house certain amounts and the agent will almost triple it. Some of them, 10 agents could be on a building. They will tell you, I'm taking you to this place, something that's not even necessary. They collect money from you and you never see your money again.
But what surprises me was the house is 450,000 per rent, is 3-bedroom flats. Why the agent feel and the other agreement, I don't know, is 150,000, different money again. I was like, am I paying to double rent is. But well, I just need to agree to my fees. Then I made a payment of that month or that rent that day, or the 600,000 that very day.
While agents often bear the blame, landlords are equally complicit.
The landlord should be able to know this house, this is the amount I want to take it out. They should be able to have a rapport with the tenant. The agent, I'm renting out my building for 200,000. From this 200,000, I'm giving you 20,000. Then don't expect any additional payment from the tenant. It is a good thing for a tenant to live in a particular apartment. At the end of the day, maybe within a short of 10 years, they should be able to have their own building too. Such type of tenant will be praying for the landlord also.
The issue of arbitrary rent hikes is not peculiar in Ondo State. Other states are taking action. In Enugu, the State House of Assembly recently introduced a bill to cap agency and legal fees at 10% and abolish non-refundable caution fees. Similarly, Lagos State's legislature passed a bill reducing agency fees from 10% to 5% in response to public outcry over exploitative practices. The Ondo State Commissioner, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Sunday Olajide, acknowledged the crisis and hinted at plans to regulate the real estate sector.
Ordinarily, if you take an apartment of 2 million, you'll be paying like 3 million. It's absurd. I mean, it has gone so high. And honestly, I will agree with the people complaining that their activities has to be, these activities have to be seriously put on caution.
Despite inflation, stakeholders, including government and tenants advocacy groups, have been urged to urgently collaborate to implement solutions that ensures equitable rent pricing in Ondo State's real estate markets. Joy Pius, OSRC News.
Rivers State Governor similarly Fubara has vowed to sanction permanent secretaries who flouted civil service rules and engaged in illegality during the 6 months emergency rule in the state. At the swearing in of a new permanent secretary, Austin Ezekiel in Port Harcourt, Fubara lamented that some officers failed in their responsibility to safeguard due process, instead engaged in actions that undermine the principles of civil service. He warned that such conduct is unacceptable, explaining that any erring officers would ultimately be held accountable as records of what some of them did would be revisited at the appropriate time. The governor stressed that no directive, regardless of its source, should override established rules and procedures, assuring that his administration would never pressurize officers to act outside the law. Fubara, who reaffirmed his administration's commitment to due process and integrity, stressed that civil service must remain the backbone of good governance. More than 250 commercial vehicles drivers have been apprehended in the Federal Capital Territory for violating a directive that mandates only one passenger in front seat of taxis. Federal Road Safety Sector Corps Commander Felix Thema said the arrest came within the first 2 days of a new enforcement campaign aimed at curbing overloading and restoring compliance with vehicle safety standards. Thema said the operation was a decisive step towards restoring passenger dignity and safety on the roads. He warned that such practices not only endanger lives but also put additional stress on tires and suspension systems, as well as reduce driver control, particularly in emergencies. Mr. Thema also used the opportunity to warn commercial drivers operating unsafe vehicles to either upgrade their vehicles or risk having them impounded. The Nigerian Police Force has impounded no fewer than 210 vehicles nationwide during the enforcement of the ban on unauthorized use of tinted glass, despite a court order temporarily suspending the enforcement. Police action reignited public criticism, with motorists raising concerns about harassment, extortion at checkpoints, and the fairness of demanding permits for factory tinted windows. The Federal High Court sitting in Warri had ordered the police and the Inspection General of Police, Kayode Betokun, to suspend the enforcement of tinted glass permit regulation for vehicles owners across the country. The court asked the police and the IGP to maintain status quo and respect judicial processes pending further proceedings in the matter. We'll now take a break now. When we come back, we'll give you more stories. Please do stay with us.
All bets on sports. One is bet. Huge winnings. One is bet. High odds. One is bet. Fast pay. One is bet. One is bet. Bookmaker Company.
Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Niger State Command, has arrested 5 suspected illegal miners and seized 9 motorcycles alongside other exhibits during a raid in Kacha Council area. Parading the suspect in Mena, the state commandant Suberu Anive called on traditional rulers, political leaders and community members to intensify public awareness on the dangers and consequences of engaging in illegal mining activities. Mr. Anive said the suspects were apprehended at Suzungi community while mining monoxide solid minerals worth millions of naira. He commended the operatives for their resilience, commitment, vigilance, and professionalism during the operation, stressing that illegal mining activities amount to economic sabotage against the nation. The commandant reiterated a core commitment to protecting Niger State natural resources from unlawful exploitation, maintaining law and order, and collaborating other security agencies to curb crime across the state. Osun State Police Command said they will ensure that those involved in the mayhem that occurred in Akinlalu, a community where a Amotekun Corps were killed, 3 people are apprehended and prosecuted. Spokesperson for the command, Abiodun Ojelabi, while giving updates on the incident, said the command had met with representatives of the community, promising that investigation into the incident would be thorough. Residents of the community said the Amotekun Corps acted without provocation and took away the corpses of the deceased after the attack. 10 people said to have sustained gunshot injuries in the attack are undergoing treatment in hospitals. Meanwhile, Amotekun spokesperson in the state, Idowu Yusuf, alleged that the people had ambushed the Amotekun men and forcibly took 3 rifles from them. Nasarawa State Primary Health Care Development Agency has unveiled plans to administer vaccines to over 1.3 million underage children against measles and Ebola across 13 local government areas of the state. Speaking in Lafayette, the state health educator of the agency, Isaiah Amegwe, said children between the ages of 9 months and 14 years have been targeted for the exercise. He noted that the 10-day vaccination would begin from October 6 to 16, calling for enhanced media advocacy to meet the target of eliminating the surge by 2030 globally. Mr. Amegwe, who further highlighted that the vaccines have been tested and proven to be safe and effective, noted that they will be given free of charge to children within the eligible age. And straight to the foreign scene now, Thai court has sentenced a man to life in prison for killing a prominent Cambodian opposition politician in Bangkok in January, as after Lim Tinyam arrived in the Thai capital with his wife. He was shot dead in public by Thai national Ekan Pon. Ekan then fled to Cambodia, where he was arrested and deported. He had initially been handed the death penalty, but that was commuted to life imprisonment because his confession to killing. The reason behind Lim Kian's killing remains unclear, though it has been widely suspected to be a politically motivated assassination. With that story, we've come to the end of the news tonight, but before we go, we'll take another look at the main point. The Ondo State government has concluded arrangements for the hosting of the 69th meeting of the National Council on Education in Akure. The new policy of federal government on student mobilization and exemption from NYSC is being greeted by divergent views from stakeholders. I'm also told you that the Nigerian police have impounded 210 vehicles over unauthorized use of tinted glass, despite the court order temporarily suspending the enforcement. Also, we told you that from the foreign scene that the Thai court has sentenced a hitman who shot dead a former Cambodian opposition lawmaker in Bangkok to life imprisonment. And that's it on the news tonight. We thank you for being a part of it. Good evening.